As we all know, the run game for the Chiefs last season wasn't up to par, even for a team that wants to throw the football with Patrick Mahomes to be leading the charge. They need a specific good run game to be able to access some of the areas of the field and be more functional to play action pass. Isaiah Pacheco had an injury. He wasn't as effective when he came back. Funny enough, Kareem Hunt coming off the couch in week 5 was their most impactful runner last season. But what about the run game itself contributed to the real problems that plague the Chiefs' run game in the lack of explosives, the offensive line, as well as the running backs themselves? And how can we possibly look to 2025 and see an improvement in that? We are going to get into that today on RGR Football, really talk about the two running backs in general with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, what they're going to need to contribute from last season in 2025, and how they can continue to get better throughout the season with some of the new players that they have brought in. You guys, this is RGR Football. My name is Daniel Harms, senior film analyst here. And like I said, that's what we're going to get into today with the run game, diving into the film, talking about all of those things. We got some advanced analytics from NFL Pro as well, which we're going to throw in there with both of these guys. So before we get any further, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that sub button right now and then allow me to work through the tape, earn a like from you guys, and hopefully you'll learn something that you didn't know before. But like I mentioned, the Chiefs' run game, lackadaisical. It wasn't creating enough explosives. Really, for Pacheco, this is where he was at his best, just dragging guys through. You got split zone here. Travis Kelce on the left-hand side comes down here. Everyone else is blocking down, right? So you have that split across the offensive line from the tight end, still zone, and then he just reads off of the block right there, goes outside, sees Khalil Mack right there. All right, we are going to press off the edge. Excuse me here. You've got this here, and Pacheco does a nice job of just running through this part right here and then dragging guys as he gets through is what he does best. But what I really want to stress about the Chiefs' run game is that it wasn't just bad. Against light boxes, which is fewer than 7 rushers or defenders inside the boxes, they didn't have a runner inside the top 60 in rush EPA, so expected yards averaged. They didn't have one of them, and this is one of the big reasons why. And Pacheco had 42 rushes in light boxes for 205 yards. He had the best yards per carry at 4.9, and he had a plus 40 yards rushed over expected, but still a negative 0.7 rush EPA on these light box runs. This is what I'm talking about. You can see it's a light box. You've got the linebacker all the way up here at basically playing nose, and there's really nobody here. So they had to be able to be better at this, and this is one of the areas where, again, I think Pacheco was better than everybody else. The numbers point that as well, but the injury afterward really took away some of that pop, the juice that we're used to. So split zone runs, inside zone runs, really where he was able to be his best in functioning himself. Obviously, he also got some good work against the Cincinnati Bengals here. This is one of their better creativity plays because it brings about 3 different mesh points, right? You have the motion man from Xavier Worthy here. He's going in motion out this way. And then at the snap, you're going to also bring Rashee Rice back across the formation. And then Isaiah Pacheco is coming this way under center. I want to focus also on under center runs for specifically Isaiah Pacheco because I still think he needs to be utilized more this way. The Chiefs should be running more under center runs. Specifically, it really does help execute the play action game too, because a lot of teams that only run out of shotgun, they don't have the same success out of play action, at least in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but at the end of the day, it does feel like Pacheco had a better rush execution. This is another part of the problem where not everyone's in on the play. Just one block here, one block there can make a more explosive play. And Justin Watson here at the top of your screen is going to come down a little bit too close to the line of scrimmage and try and block the cornerback here that it believed comes down, but he gets too close, or maybe it's this guy right here that he tries to block. He gets too close to the inside, allowing an outside path to Isaiah Pacheco. And again, they do a really nice job of blocking this up for the most part. You've got the motion, you've got the undercut from Rashee Rice. Everyone's blocking down on their zone. And this is, again, so he comes down here to this player who's going to go bounce it outside, right? It's too close. You got to be either right here to block it down, or you have to be attacking where he's at that outside shoulder. You come up underneath, you're allowing that defender to get inside and around you, out around you, and then still be able to make the play. Because look where Isaiah Pacheco is right now. There's not enough time. Sorry, there's too much time for him to be able to make something happen. So if this block actually gets executed, Pacheco can bounce right here, get through this, and we're talking about a potentially explosive run, but it's not because obviously they missed block. So look where the offensive line is too. Like this is a really good blocked offensive play where they're nearly 5 yards off the line of scrimmage down here. They're getting movement against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, I know the run defense for them isn't very good, but at the end of the day, one block here, one block there. Wide receivers can be impactful in the blocking game too. You have to get this block. You have to be able to make it happen. This is really what it's supposed to look like when most of the blocks are hit, but also Pacheco does a nice job of being decisive, getting downhill quickly, finding that cutback lane right up in between the center and making it happen. So you've got that motion from Xavier Worthy. Here it is, boom. Then you're going to have the cross back action here, and then Pacheco being decisive downhill. Again, outside, they're doing a really nice job of showcasing, getting out of their blocks and just getting to where they need to be in their spots. The reason this should be a successful play is because of what you see here. Linebackers aren't shooting gaps. They have to respect what's happening. So 55 right here is behind the play. This guy, number 57, is behind the play. So you have to be able to execute these. Look where Trey Smith is right now. There's no one in his path. So he's got head on a swivel, right? He comes out here looking this way, looking at 55. He can make different blocks because there's nobody that's shooting gaps because they don't expect. They have to pay attention to the wide receiver going out to the left, to the wide receiver going out to the right, and then you're under center. So boom, this could be a play action pass. We have to make sure we're on our P's and Q's here. So this is, again, what it's supposed to look like. I wanted to see more of this. And yes, I'm trying to remember, you guys, that was the Bengals. The Bengals are not a good run defense. They weren't a good defense in general. But overall, they could have done more. And specifically, out of his total rushes, he had 82 rushes last season, I believe, around 80 rushes. He had 31 under center attempts. Okay, he was 4 yards per carry, a -6 rush EPA. All right, so 83 total attempts, 28 outside the tackles. So that means how many times they ran him outside the tackles out of 83 attempts was only 28 times. And he had 3 yards per carry, -31 rushing yards over expected. So obviously wasn't creating yards after the creating more than what was blocked. We'll say it that way. And the -6.8 EPA per rush. And then on all inside the tackle runs, he had 4.1 yards per carry, plus 22 rushing yards over expected, still -9 rush yards EPA. So rush EPA. So overall, the negative impacts because of, I really truly believe that the injury created that. We know that, but also the inability to be explosive in his movements. He's still a very rigid mover. Plays like this, where you actually see him get out and go and make an explosive play. It's a nice job here, seeing that block, right? He sees we got a block here, and now there's no one really here. So we're going to bounce this inside right there and then cut back off of it with Trey Smith getting another block right there. So at the end of the day, for Isaiah Pacheco specifically, I think being healthy, you and I all know that is the most important thing for him because his best asset is the physical nature with which he plays. And at the line of scrimmage, if you can either take a hit or make something happen where you're not as rigid at the line of scrimmage and then be able to bounce it like this, you see here, the explosiveness really isn't truly there for him. He's got to be able to get into space. And when you can create space for Isaiah Pacheco, he can help your run game. So functionally wise, he's still a good running back. Kareem Hunt was obviously the quote-unquote best running back they had in the roster last year because of the injury, which we're going to get to here. But that's just to say that Isaiah Pacheco, even against light boxes, he was not great, but he was the best running back they had against light boxes because the physical nature of which he plays. If he can't play like that, his effectiveness will go down dramatically. So him being healthy, I think is going to be a big boon for them just to be able to get him in there. I still think committee is where you go, but back to Kareem Hunt now, where we see he was the guy that had the most quote unquote explosive runs for them because he was just healthiest the longest. And for the Chiefs, it was not great, you guys. I tweeted this out. I talked about it on Monday, but really, Patrick Mahomes was the one that got the most explosive plays and had the most runs over 15 miles per hour last season. That's just bad. That's not good. You can't have that. But single back power, okay? Trey Smith's going to pull. You got block down here. You got a double team. Boom. We're going to pull and get around in here. Because you got a block on the outside, then you see the block down from Trey Smith. Everyone gets on a hat. We can create 15 yards, right? It's not that hard. This is really what you have to do against light boxes. Again, you can see what I'm talking about. There is no real threat here to stop the run. It is basically 5 guys because you don't have to worry about this guy out here or this one. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. And that's really all you have to worry about. So for this single back power, you actually have Travis Kelce blocking down the defensive end, which works so that Trey Smith can come out here and get a block. They block down, they get to Kareem Hunt following that block. He has a timing step right there. Everyone gets on a hat, and boom, we get into the secondary, into the secondary. So being able to execute some of these plays is very important for them. And Kareem Hunt, unfortunately, ranked 39th of 44 qualified running backs in yards per carry on light box runs. 4.1 yards on light box runs. So even though he created the most explosive plays for the Chiefs against light boxes, he was still a very inefficient running back in that regard. He had 99 attempts against light boxes and a negative 6.1 rush EPA on said plays. It was just not great. We know he's not the most explosive guy in the world. Not having a full training camp will also create problems for you, but I still think at the end of the day, there were some good things that Kareem Hunt did. Again, you see the vision on display. We are going to talk about where he brought the most impact, which I'm sure all of you know, but we're going to talk about why and exactly why. This is why some of those things. You see the split zone action here from the Chiefs. You got Noah Gray scraping across block. Everyone else is blocking down. So we got that split zone action there. And Kareem Hunt does a really nice job, again, of just identifying where the player is coming from. So Jawan Taylor misses his block. Shocker there. He gets beat inside across his face, and Kareem Hunt does a really nice job. Again, just finding where he needs to be. So he's, again, meeting this. He wants to take this as long as he can to the line of scrimmage, and then he's just going to bounce it, right? Nice job bouncing it outside where he was very ineffective. Outside the tackles, negative 98 rushing yards over expected, 3.5 yards per carry, negative 13.1 rush EPA on 82 attempts. But the reason we know the explosiveness really isn't there for Kareem, I do think he looks a little bit thinner than he did last year, a little slimmer. I think he's still going to be a very good back for this committee backfield, but this is what you want to see from a vision standpoint. Something that even Kareem Hunt did struggle to do at times is bouncing runs outside. No running back in Kansas City last year could do it. They just don't have it. They didn't have the speed. They didn't have the impact. We know the efficiency really bumped up with Kareem Hunt when he came into Kansas City last year. But the big problem was, again, creating those explosives, which is always going to be a problem when you have Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco on the roster as your 1 and 2, guys that either don't have the athleticism they once had or don't have the vision. And unfortunately for Pacheco, he's more of a battering ram, and that's where you see the 5 yards per carry really start to show up. But we talked about how with some of these plays, you're going to find blocks that don't get executed properly, and how we all know that every play is designed to go the distance, right? That's just how football is. But you need to have plays executed, even from a fundamental standpoint, and just giving a little bit more effort, being able to move guys. This is just more frustrating than anything. Granted, this defender has a very wide base. But for Jawan Taylor, he's basically standing up. So he can't actually use that against him because he's not digging deep. He's not digging under and actually trying to move that player out of the way or even turn him. I don't necessarily care if you need to move him that much. Just turn. Actually give me real effort on this turn. But this is the problem. Hand right into the neck throat area for him, which, again, it's not a foul, but you have to understand for an offensive tackle, giving someone this landmark is a bad place to be. When you're standing up and they're dug underneath and getting that leverage under you, you're not going to get any movement. So this play gets derailed from the start because Jawan Taylor, for not even just really turning him out, doesn't create anything. We just saw this play with Isaiah Pacheco. Now they run the same with Kareem Hunt. You've got Mecole Hardman going this way, Juju Smith-Schuster going this way. But look, again, we have second level of the defense still 5 yards away from line of scrimmage. You've got eyes having to go here. You got followers here. You got someone triggering downhill here. And then eventually these guys are triggering. But this is where the play needs to get going. If Jawan Taylor blocks, if he actually allows Kareem Hunt to possibly get through this gap without a problem, you can create something. You can get more than what was blocked right here. You can get something, right? You can talk yourself into this being maybe a 7-8 yard run, right? If he's able to seamlessly get off of this line instead of having to press here and then try to pop outside and eventually get tackled by the guy who's on Jawan Taylor. But instead, he's got to carry it to the line of scrimmage. That's a problem. Taylor's got to give you a bit better effort here. So if we continue to see the same Jawan Taylor that we've seen, if not worse, I think he will get replaced this season because I can't fundamentally see how this type of offensive tackle play is going to help your run game. We know the offensive line last year had some struggles and they couldn't run to the left in the postseason because of the injuries, as well as the problems with Wanya Morris, Kingsley Suamataia just not being able to do that. So you have Joe Thuney. But overall, we see some of the fundamental problems they had just blocking, getting everybody to do what they needed to do. In the game where Kareem Hunt came to Kansas City and played against the Chargers, he had a couple really impressive runs, a couple of nice draw runs. But here, now I'll be honest, I don't know specifically if Travis Kelce needs to down block on Khalil Mack right here. I know he gives like a fake effort. I don't know if he's supposed to or not, but think about the play structurally, right? We saw on the 49ers single back power, which we see right here, him down block because the defense then was closer to an outside, close to a wide 9 position. So he's on the outside there. But why aren't we seeing Travis down block? So you see the motion from Juju Smith-Schuster. Wow. Juju Smith-Schuster out to the left-hand side. As Khalil Mack now comes down here, makes the block easier for Travis Kelce. Honestly, block down here, muddy this up. If you know that the play has got to be coming out this way, you know a linebacker is going to trigger downhill. We need to see this allow the block to unfold. But Travis gives you no effort here on Khalil Mack at all and effectively kills the play. The reason it kills the play is because you want Trey Smith to get out to maybe a linebacker or one of these secondary members they're going to fill, right? If they come out this way, if the safety comes down, if the linebacker comes around, if this DB comes in, any of this happens right here, you want Trey Smith to be able to come around and funnel through the outside or through the B gap, the C gap. But because Travis doesn't give you the block on Khalil Mack at all, now guess who has to pick him up? As he comes this way, Trey Smith is now meeting him in the backfield, and that's an obstacle for Kareem Hunt. It's a problem. So you have to give better effort. This can't happen. Like, he's now got to worry about, oh, here comes that linebacker. And again, if that was muddied up because he down blocks Khalil Mack and the linebacker can't shoot that gap, we're talking about Trey Smith being able to lead block for him there. And then Kareem can at least get up to speed here. So there's some space that he can work with, right? There's a little bit of maneuvering that he can make to make something happen. But unfortunately, because you don't get that down block from Travis to really seal that edge and allow Trey Smith to work around, it becomes a problem. So for as unathletic really as Kareem Hunt, I'll say unexplosive as Kareem Hunt is to this point, right? They didn't make it easy on themselves. So overall, I'm not trying to downgrade Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. There are specific roles where I think that they are going to be useful this season. And the main one, I think, for Kareem Hunt is against stacked boxes, which are 7 or more than 7 players inside the box. This is a closer example to that because you've got 12 personnel and a deep safety. Everyone else is really close to the line of scrimmage. Kareem Hunt was second in the NFL in rush EPA into stacked boxes. second, +7. Derrick Henry was the only running back in the NFL that added more points on these plays in terms of creating touchdowns, creating plays like this than Kareem Hunt. He was the second best against stack boxes. That's the vision, guys. We talked about how Isaiah Pacheco doesn't have the vision against these short yardage areas, and that's one thing you saw against the Bills in the postseason. We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl because that really doesn't matter, but this is where you saw you got Xavier Worthy coming in motion, right? Boom, out here. And you get a little bit of that blocking down, kind of mushing this up. But Trey Smith's actually going to come out and pull. You got down blocks. Everyone else is kind of blocking into the middle. So they're trying to mush the middle up a little bit. And then you get the pull from Trey Smith. And you also have Creed Humphrey gets slid off of a block right there and gets the lead block for Kareem, who's able to bring, that jump cut back inside off the block and then create a 7-8 yard gain off of this play. So I like this play a lot, specifically because it does bring everyone close to the line of scrimmage with 12 personnel under center, once again, which we've seen, and it creates a lot of movement. So again, they all block down this way. They leave Von Miller off the edge this way. And then you also, again, with that block out, right, you get the pull, and then you get Creed Humphrey kind of sliding off onto DeMar Hamlin and just let Kareem Hunt read it out because he's one of the best against stack boxes in the NFL. He can continue to be that. We don't need Kareem Hunt to be the most explosive running back on the roster. You don't need that. But what you need him to do is add value in short yardage and goal line situations. And we saw the creativity for the Chiefs run game start to show itself a little bit early in the season and then a little bit later in the season. This is one of the more fun runs that they actually had. They showed the formation earlier in the season, I believe, against the Bengals with two tight ends in the backfield on the same side, right? So you see here, they're there on the same side. Then they go to the full house, the triangle formation here. And you see this type of play a lot in college football with misdirection. So they're actually going to have the tight ends come to the left of the formation. They're going to block this way, and he comes out this way to block. They move tackle and guard from the opposite side, and they pull them around, creating that misdirection, right? We got tight ends coming this way. We got offensive linemen going that way, and you create problems at the second level. So who's going where? We don't know. Oh, that's what I reversed it. My bad. So sorry, tight ends are going this way. And then you got guard and tackle coming this way. My apologies. I have it written down in my notes the opposite way. So trying to read it this way can be a little confusing at times, as you guys know. But yeah, you just let Kareem Hunt work. Follow a block. Look at where everyone's going. You've got Milano over here, right? He's just, where is my circle? There it is. You got him right there. You got an unblocked player here. You've got another pursuit player here. You've got a linebacker here. Everyone's kind of confused on where they're going to be going, and it allows the play to unfold. I think one of my issues with how Andy Reid runs it is that sometimes he does it the same exact thing. If you go back to the Bengals game, you'll see they run a play out of the two tight ends on the same side, and they had a good run. They run the exact same play later in the game, and it gets stuffed. So, but the creativity, I think, can be there. But Kareem Hunt needs to function as the guy inside the red zone, in my mind, as you can see here with the score, as well as the ability to have the short yardage EPA, gaining of the offense. We saw the efficiency numbers kick up for Kareem Hunt in the offense when he was brought in. It started to slow down, obviously, as the season went along because they couldn't run outside the tackle. So if we look at the Chiefs running backs formula, Elijah Mitchell, Brashard Smith should funnel in. They should be explosive playmakers to mesh with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. They cannot allow Kareem Hunt to have 200 touches next year, or 2025. He had 200 rushes. It was the most he's had since he was cut from the Chiefs in 2019. Like, that's the most. You can't have that nonsense. So we got to see something different. I'd love to see some change-ups with the run game, specifically more duo. If you're going to run with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt for the majority of your early down work, bring in duo. Bring in some more draw plays, some more creativity with how you can run between the tackles. But I still think that those two can be very successful if you get a little bit more from everybody. Tight ends, wide receivers, offensive line. Got to kick it up a little bit too with the possibility of having Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons playing tackle this year, I think that will be your best run and pass protection blocking unit with the inside guys that they're going to have as well. Kingsley at guard, watch for him being a puller as well as Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore when they get on the field too. So I think there's a potential for this running game to at least become mediocre. And that's really all they need. They need to have a mediocre run game to continue to access the parts of the field that Patrick wants to do. And at the end of the day, run some more of their RPOs and their play action game. So I just wanted to show you guys where they really struggled, even though the numbers suggest the running backs weren't very good. There's a lot of the reason that the offensive line also wasn't very good. And some of the plays got stale. And if you can't access the outside the tackles, you're going to have trouble consistently running between the tackles, even if you're good at it. So hopefully they can get better this year, and you can see some of the explosives start to creep back in. At the end of the day, if they're able to kick off 8, 9, 10 yards sometimes on a consistent basis, they're going to be just fine, and hopefully they can continue to do that. I'm excited to see maybe a Brashard Smith and Elijah Mitchell in the backfield as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed what some of the problems were for the Chiefs run game, still some of the good things that they did, but also how we can see more going forward. And if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that sub button right now. We are getting very, very close to training camp. We are getting through mandatory mini camp right now with Trey Smith in town. So we'd love to see the support for the channel that you guys consistently give us. We will have more content for you every single week. And as we all know, with moving and the off season, things are going to kind of be erratic and crazy at times. But when the season hits, Ryan, myself, Gary, everyone here at RGR will have you guys covered each and every week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.